Arrhythmia is an abnormality of the heart's rhythm. It may beat too slowly, too quickly, or irregularly. These abnormalities range from a minor inconvenience or discomfort to a potentially fatal problem. That was good. So I want to ask y'all a few questions. How's your heart? How's your heart? Is it beating right spiritually? Do you keep your heart in spiritual shape? How's your diet? Thank you, Minister Elijah, because we're going to use that all year till the wheels fall off. How's your diet? What does your heart feel like when it's going through a spiritual exercise routine? You all know what that spiritual exercise routine is called? Trouble, tribulation, difficulty. That's the spiritual exercise routine for your heart. Y'all ever feel trouble coming and all of a sudden it start getting a little, I'm like, hold on now, what is this? Let me calm myself down. But what if it's beaten wrong and you ain't doing right? What if it's off? What if it don't smell right, don't taste right in the spirit? What if someone could come to you and smell the spiritual stench coming off of your heartbeat? Jesus, help us, Lord. So our theme for tonight is maintaining the proper heart posture towards God, no matter what you go through. We can't be up one day and down another day. Angry one day, love God another day. Don't love God, God, you ain't on my side. I don't like you, I don't know. Sound like Elijah to me. So we're going to talk about that. How's your heart doing in the midst of trial? And how's it doing with God? How do you treat God in the midst of trial? How do you treat others in the midst of tribulation when it don't feel right and you don't feel like being nice today? How do you treat yourself? How do you treat yourself in the midst of tribulation? I'm going to let that sit in the room for 5 seconds. For 5 seconds. You know, our good friend Job, he's been with us the whole of Ministers Month. Job, we thank you. We thank you for enduring because Job, he had a problem. That man, how long? I know, right? That man had the audacity. God called him a just man, but yet still he accused God. He accused God. He didn't like God some days, and then other days God was the best thing since sliced bread. And then finally he kept telling God, come, I need to talk to you. I need to talk. I want y'all to see yourself right here, because I saw myself. God, I need to talk to you about this situation right here. Let me pull a Pastor D. This situation right here. I need to talk to you about that. And God showed up on the scene like, here I am. Did you forget? I made the stars, the sea, the land. It was me. Did you forget? You questioning my authority. You question what I did in your life. I had to ask Job a question. Why not you, Job? Let me ask y'all a question. When y'all going through, why not you? Why not you? Why can't God find you useful to go through in his name? Why God can't test you and put you through some things? Why not you? And I'm asking because God put me through some things. Some of y'all know. It wasn't no lightweight stuff. I'm going to get to it. But why not you? Let's keep going. I want to ask y'all a question. Do you see how smartless that sound? To say that God's going to change his word? It's smartless. I have to use that word because it's an official word of open fire. We need to call Webster. It is an official word. It's smartless to believe that God's going to change. The Holy Spirit had to remind me that God is not a part-time lover. He is not a part-time lover. Now, I know there are a few of you know what a part-time lover is. You call him on the main line once in a while and tell him what you want. Y'all know what a part-time lover is. I ain't the only one. But that's not God. God's not a part-time lover. He want all or none, because he said if you're lukewarm, I'll spit you out. So you can't call him in the middle of the night sometimes. He has to be there all the time. The Lord wants us to keep him to the forefront of our minds. That when trouble comes up, we don't think about going to our sister, our friend, our boyfriend, or the ex that we know we should not be talking about, talking to. Who that for? Catch it, grab it, and run. Nah. The Lord wants all of us, all the time. There's no limitations to what God could do. There's no limitations to what God could do. Yes, ma'am, I will. Let's go on to the second thing, people. What's a healthy way to see people in the midst of tribulation? Do you see your brother the way God sees them when they're in the midst of tribulation? Or do they get on your last nerve? I could tell on myself. I remember a time I called Pastor Johnson and Pastor D on TT because she was getting on my nerve, y'all. She was getting on my nerve, and I love Pastor Johnson because Pastor Johnson in his gentlest way said, Minister Latoya, are you having a pity party? He fixed my business good. And I left that meeting saying, I thought TT was going to get in trouble. But it was me, because I was the problem. And I know it's hard for a lot of us to admit that we're the problem, but when it's your brother or sister and they're going through and they don't fit right into your space at the moment, how do you treat them? If they're rubbing you the wrong way, how do you treat them? If they're acting a little bit like Eeyore, how do you treat them? What's your response? Do you see them the way God sees them? Because again, he doesn't change his perspective of how they look to him, even when they're getting on his nerve. Even when he's saying, this stubborn, hard-headed daughter of mine, but I still love you because I have a purpose for you. And even though you don't want to listen, it seems sometimes your head is hard, I still love you, and I'm going to be patient with you. First Lady taught us a long time ago, are we making the allowance for our brother or sister when they get on our nerves? You know, when I was not whole, I was a counterfeit of everyone around me. I was not anything that meant Toya. Nothing that was Toya. I was whoever I was around at the time. I fit in wherever I needed to fit in. You know why? Because I did not like being rejected. So I used every opportunity to make sure that I fit in. Now I only want to fit in with Jesus. But you will use a cognitive distortion to cause you to do things that's not of God. I could tell you a story. When I was going through, my husband left, me and Judah, and I was sad. I did not want to come to church, but I came. I didn't want First Lady to call me, but she called and I answered. I didn't want Jessica nor TT to bother me, but they did, and I thank God. And one day, Minister Jessica said to me, Toya, keep your heart right. Keep your heart right. And it stuck with me. It stuck with me because I realized that I needed to keep my heart right for many reasons. This was only a year ago. This was only a year ago. I was serving in ministry. There were people that I knew I needed to be there for. Not only people, but one day I was driving home and tears was coming down my face. And Judah said, Mommy, what's wrong? Y'all know Judah. He think he's 20. And I said, baby, nothing. Mommy's just sad. And he said, but Mommy, God's going to make it okay. My 3-year-old at the time, almost 4, I guess. You know what that taught me? That he was watching. He was watching when I was praising God, and he was watching while I was sad. And I had a decision to make in that very moment, whether I was going to be a bitter, angry woman for my son, whether I was going to keep my son from his father because I was angry, whether I was going to sow a seed of bitterness into him because I was upset, because he left me. Okay, you can't have your son. That's foolishness, by the way, but we ain't got time nor capacity to deal with that today. I mean, I'm sorry to call you out if you're doing that. Please seek Wise counsel, because it's sowing bitterness into your children. It's teaching them how to be angry before they even understand the emotion of anger. It's teaching them how to turn their back on righteousness when they don't even understand what righteousness is. It's our responsibility. We're the ones going through the affliction. We're the ones going through the trouble. It's a personal responsibility when you are going through trouble to keep your heart right. It's a personal responsibility. I relate so much to Jacob because when he encountered God and he wrestled with God, I got it. I said Jacob was tired. He was isolating himself. He was at the river of Jabbok. I don't know how to say that. But it means an alone place, an emptying place. And he let everyone around him go from around him because he recognized something within himself. After running from Laban and running into Esau, he said, God, that's enough. He said, God, that's enough. Yeah, I have to fix me. And he didn't sit to that place because I don't think he was depressed. I think he came to himself. He had a revelation of who he was. He had a revelation that he was Jacob the supplanter. I was Latoya the counterfeit. But I had to come to a decision in myself that no matter who left me, no matter who turned their back on me, no matter who talked about me, no matter if you were there or not, whether you loved me, whether you stood by my side, whether you called me by the right name or the wrong name, I was going to be who God called me to be. And something rose up on the inside of me. It came a boldness where I said, for God I live, and for God I'll die. And it didn't matter who was with me. It didn't matter who stayed. It didn't matter who called me nice names. It didn't matter who encouraged me or poured into me. It didn't matter. It didn't matter because as long as I had Jesus, as long as I had the King of Kings, as long as I had the Lord on my side, as long as I had the Lord on my side, I wasn't moving. I wasn't shifting from who God called me to be. I was going to be the bold person that he called me to be, to teach the word in clarity. I was going to be that person. Minister Shakira, you were going to be the psalmist. Minister Elaine, the psalmist. The preachers, the teachers. It's a decision that's made in that wilderness. You might be in the midst of a wilderness right now. You might be in the midst of a tribulation right now, and there's a decision that has to be made. Who are you going to be? Who God called you to be, or who everyone else says you are? Because I know one thing, God is still truth. And so everything else everybody else is saying is a lie. Everything else everybody is saying is a lie.